Hello, everybody, and good evening on this beautiful Tuesday, February 27th, 2018. It is with great pleasure and privilege that I sit before you. The time is now 6:30, and I call this meeting to order. We are going to start with an invocation by Pastor David Kimberly from West Main Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Cynthia Carrasco. Everybody please rise.
Pray with me, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day that you've given us. The reality of this day is just a blessing in itself because it's made by you and you've given us life. Father, I pray for our city council, for our mayor, for the things that they'll be considering tonight, that you'll give wisdom in all that's done. Father, we pray for our first responders, for our police, for their safety and for their families. Father, with what's going on all over the country, weather-wise, and homes that are being threatened by weather and people's lives, we pray for them and what they're going through. And we just thank you that here in Alice, that you've given us a beautiful day, a beautiful warm day, and we're thankful for what you have ahead of us. But we realize that, Father, this is a blessing from you. It could be taken from us if we don't turn from those things that keep us from walking with you. Lord, there's sin in many lives today, and we pray, Father, that that sin might be dealt with, but they will find grace in your sight. And each one of us, Lord, daily, that we know you and walk with you. Utilize us, Father, today. Utilize us in all that goes on in the rest of this week, that we might shine for you and be not only witnesses for you, but as good citizens be light that says to others who come into this city, we're glad you're here. And we thank you, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It looks like we had two pastors in-house today. I think we needed extra blessings. Maybe there was a little mix-up. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you both for being here. Thank you. Now let's go to agenda item number 2. Citizen comments and public announcements. If there is a citizen who has a request for city services or other items of concern which cannot be approved or otherwise resolved by the city manager, may choose to address the council. Citizens who wish to address the city council about items on the agenda will have 3 minutes to express their position. Please indicate agenda item number on which you wish to comment. All presentations and discussions should be directed to the city council and all questions to the mayor. Any complaints and or discussion about individuals, personnel, council members, city staff, or other persons would be out of order and will not be heard by the city council at this time. Charges or complaints about specific individuals shall be presented in writing to the city manager. All complaints of this nature must be signed and dated by the individual filing the complaint and will be addressed pursuant to Alice personnel policies. Please approach the speaker stand, state your full name and address when you begin your remarks so that the official minutes will record your appearance before the city council. If you have written notes you wish to present to the mayor and council, please furnish an extra copy to the city clerk for official files. Please direct your comments to the mayor and council. Although council cannot take specific action on citizens' comment topics due to legal requirements, they will hear the topic and council may have the item placed on a future agenda for action or refer to the item to a board, commission, or committee, or refer the item to staff for study or conclusion. Thank you for your cooperation. At this time, we have our one speaker, Mr. Mauricio Garza. If you'll please come forward.
Hello and good evening, the City of Alice public servants. My name is Mauricio Garza, 500 Air Street. I'm here to remind again about the possibility to create a districting in the city. That way we can have placements and fair representation Also, to implement a stagnant election. That way there is not a opportunity that the entire council and mayor can be replaced at one time. Also, last council meeting when I was here, I had questions about a query about an investigation that was going on, and I wasn't able to get any answers. So as the truly good tax citizen that I am, I went ahead and did a public information request to the district attorney's office, and turns out I got a response. They're forwarding it to the general attorney's office because apparently there are some things in here that either the DA does not want the public to see for one reason or another, but nonetheless, the fact that I received this is proof that there was an investigation going on. Well, it's something that the city does deserve to know about. And as I was going through today's agenda, I also noticed that our chief is going to be put up for apparently investigation also, some sort. So the chief being the most important man, considering he's got the safety of all of the citizens in his hand and the safety of our officers. That is something that if it does go to an investigation, it absolutely needs to be public because the people need to know what's going on with their chief and the city. So I appreciate total transparency and putting thought into the considerations I've put in. And thank you all for your service.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. Okay, if there are no other speakers, I have no other speakers. We will go on to agenda item public announcements. If Ms. Carrasco, do you have anything to announce today?
I just want to thank everyone, and I want to thank the citizens that reached out to me in the past weeks with some concerns in reference to our city streets and sewage. Some of those have been addressed, and hopefully our administration will also reach out to you. But anyone that has a concern or any kind of comment, please call us. We're here to serve you, and we will do our best to reach out and get any problem corrected. My cell is 219-6801. So we're here to serve you.
Thank you, Ms. Carrasco. Mr. Burke?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Crisp?
Just a quick reminder to everybody out there that right now the primaries are going on, and we've had a very low Jim Wells County voter turnout. I made a post today that just to say, hey, just get out and vote. In my opinion, you know, I have the people that I will vote for, but in the end, I don't care who you vote for. I care that you vote. Jim Wells County, the city of Alice, and surrounding areas all deserve for their citizens to get out and talk, and let's all be a part of a solution and not just complain about the problems. So just, again, just get out and vote. So.
Thank you, Mr. Crisp. Mr. Molina? And I just want to thank everybody again for being here. It was a really busy weekend with a lot going on. And I just want to let the citizens know that, like Ms. Carrasco said, we are your servants. And when I took the oath, I took it proudly and I took it wholeheartedly. And so whenever you guys complain to me, whether it's a smell of sewage or broken air condition or dogs roaming or police problems, fire problems, any kind of problems, I do take them to heart. And I do face them. Some of those are tougher than others because they're not popular. But I didn't choose this position to be popular, obviously. So I just want to remind everybody that we do the best we can with what we've got, and I will continue serving you as such. So going on to agenda item number 3, introduction of newly hired police officers in the Alice Police Department. The Alice Police Department recently hired 6 new officers. The officers began their tour of duty on Friday, February 16, 2018, with new hire orientation. On Monday, February 19, 2018, the officers took their oath of office during a formal ceremony as they were surrounded by their families, friends, fellow officers, and city and county leaders. We welcome them to our organization and wish them a long and fruitful career with the City of Alice. Please join me in welcoming Officer Aaron Kyle Frazier, Officer John Carlo Jaramillo, Officer Eliocadio Reina III, Officer Alberto Stout III, Officer Bianca Larissa Mitchell, Officer David Ray Mora. Y'all will please come forward. Chief.
Hey guys, I guess you did the introduction for me, council, mayor. Addis, they have 6 new officers here. They're gonna hit the streets probably in, I say 2 individuals, probably in 2 months, and I say 4 or 5 months. The other 4 are coming out. Right now they're with Sergeant Perez. They're going through still some education policies. They're going through pepper spray, you name it, they gotta go through it. And until Sergeant Perez is good with them, as far as he's ready to release them to the streets, they'll get cut. They'll go to FTO for 2 or 3 weeks, different individuals, and they'll make the determination when they will be cut on their own. So guys, council, these are the 6 new Addis police officers. Thank you guys for being here. Mayor, any?
Would y'all like to come forward for a photo op?
Thank you.
And,
Would y'all like to?
Sure, go ahead.
Can you please introduce them individually? I know they walked
Okay.
in as the mayor was talking.
Okay, guys,
but they're
I
kind of
guess
off to the side, so.
I'll call and then come forward.
Yeah, please. Sorry, just so that the citizens can see
Okay.
their faces one by one.
Aaron Fraser, he's an Addis native. And again, all these individuals, thank you guys. Thank you for selecting Addis PD, because y'all could have gone anywhere else. Okay, and it's an honor to any time that you can hire officers at these numbers at six individuals. Thank you for selecting Addis. Aaron Fraser, Addis, Texas. Giancarlo Jaramillo, he's also an Addis native. He's the son of our lieutenant from CID, Michael Jaramillo. Bianca Mitchell, the second female is going to be on the force. She's from Bimbo, Palito Blanco area, Bimbo. David Ray Moya. David Ray Moya is from Zapata. David Ray Moya's dad used to work for us, I want to say about 17, 18 years ago. And he was with us, left to Zapata, and now his son was an officer in Zapata County and decided to move forward to this area. Thank you for coming, David. And I know the mayor, he wants to be called Leo Reina, because his name is Leocardo, Leo. He's from La Joya. We got Leo interested. I sent David Valadez to recruit. I sent him to Corpus Christi Academy. He went to the Rio Grande Valley Academy, and that's where Leo came from. I guess David caught his attention, applied, and now he's an Addis police officer. Albert Stout, also an Addis native. Albert Stout's dad is a police officer, lieutenant for Roughtown PD. Known him for years. Again, Albert Stout was working for Jim Wells County, and again, decided to switch over to Addis PD. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir. These are the 6 individuals that, like I said, bring the numbers up on Addis PD. It's gonna be 3 or 4 months before they all hit the streets, but you'll see them here pretty quick before you know it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for choosing Alice.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, consider and act upon a funding request from Halo Flight to benefit the Halo Flight Emergency Unit for the South Texas area.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jane Dare Haas, and I have the privilege of serving as the Marketing Director for Halo Flight. I'd like to also introduce 2 of my colleagues that are with me here in the audience. Wendy Greer is a native of Jim Wells County and is our EMS a training academy coordinator. She is a community educator for Halo Flight and a member of the Local Emergency Planning. I can't seem to get that out tonight. As well, Brian Schultz, our development director at Halo Flight, have joined me. We do thank you for the brief time that we have with you this evening. We know that you have serious items to tend to, and we appreciate that Halo Flight is one of those serious items. Let me say that you all have been a very generous supporter of Halo Flight through our years. This is our 30th year of service to South Texans. We meet them on probably the worst day of their life. Our family members, our neighbors, our friends who have been victimized by accidents or tragedies and need precious time to get to higher levels of care. That is what Halo Flight does and has done successfully for 30 years. We're an air ambulance company, and as you probably know, we have a base here in Alice that opened in 2012, so we are a part of this community. Last year, sadly, we had a record year of missions for Halo Flight, but approximately a third of those flights came from here in Alice and Jim Wells County. That is the reason that we relocated one of our bases here in 2012, because we knew it's vitally important to get to that victim of an accident or an injury as promptly as possible so that treatment can continue and transportation can begin immediately. The most missions came from Jim Wells County, followed only by B County and then Nueces County. So we know that your gifts of support to Halo Flight are truly helping your constituents, your neighbors, your family, and your friends. So we say thank you for your generous support. Halo Flight began because a group of individuals committed like you to serving their community decided that after the death of a friend of theirs, they were not going to let this continue to happen time and time again. And with your generous support, hopefully we'll continue to be able to provide hope in the air for another 30 years, recognizing that on that worst day of their life, Halo Flight can be there to make a difference. We'd appreciate the gift that you're about to offer us, we hope. We very, very much appreciate it. I'd like to share with you, if I may, one brief piece of material that is hot off the press, 2018 and beyond, as we begin a new era of service to the citizens of South Texas. We appreciate very much your partnership. Two more. Right here. And of course, we'd entertain any questions that you might have for me or my colleagues regarding the service that we provide here in Alice and Jim Wells County.
Ms. Lopez, you want to do the narrative?
Yes, ma'am. Halo Flight is requesting from us $5,000 this evening. The funds are going to be used for operating expenses, including helicopters, medical equipment, maintenance, and fuel costs. The City of Alice has funded Halo Flight in the past, and monies were allocated in our fiscal year 18 budget. In your packet, it was stating that there was $4,240 available in that line item. In confirming with finance, there's actually $5,139 available in that line item. The $5,000 request is normally what Halo Flight requests from the council. There were a few years where we were unable to fulfill that request, but given the service they provide to this community, the staff is recommending that you all consider the request and proceed with funding.
What was the amount again, Diana, that you said is in that line item?
$5,139.24.
So what we have in our packet is wrong, 4,200.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And this is coming out of Object Code 5530, which is Community Relations. The monies that are set aside in that line item are for organizations such as Halo Flight. We also do the Boys and Girls Club, steak and burger dinner, and as other organizations come forward, we will determine how to proceed at that time.
Council, any questions, Mr. Molina?
No.
Mr. Chris?
No, the answered one, but, you know, this, I just want to make a statement. Had family that's actually benefited from this, and friends. This was brought before council last time in October. Actually, it was the day of my first council meeting. And at that point, I kind of decided I wasn't going to take part in a lot because it was my first council meeting. However, this was something that was near and dear to my heart, and the city had budgeted for it. So, in my opinion, this is a great service that's offered to the people. And at $5,000, I know in the past that we had done more, but $5,000 doesn't even cover one trip. Doesn't even cover a third of one trip. So it's the least I think that we as a city can do for our community. So I just wanted to make that statement.
Thank you. Mr. Burke?
Yes, ma'am. I was wondering if you might comment on, I understand there's a policy that individuals and families can obtain that would greatly benefit them and lower the cost if they should require Halo Flight. But I think there's probably a lot of people not aware of that. I was wondering if you might speak to that just
With pleasure, thank you,
briefly.
Mr. Burke. We call it the Guardian Plan, and please let me clarify, it's not a policy per se. It is a membership affiliation. And I actually brought materials with me tonight, hoping that you would ask, and that people in the audience might be interested. We could not survive the 30 years of service to South Texans if it were not for the generous support of folks. And this is, in essence, a give back. What we're doing is we're offering a membership affiliation program that is a debt forgiveness program. As members join, what happens is if they have that worst day and are flown by Halo Flight, we will bill whatever insurance products they may have, and any unpaid out-of-pocket expense paid by the insurance company is then forgiven. It is our affiliation with them in the guardianship family that gives them that debt forgiveness. It is $35 a year, and it covers everybody in your immediate family that lives in your household. So it's pennies a day. But again, it's more about we could not do what we do if it were not for the generous support of communities like Alice and Jim Wells County and all the business organizers that have helped us raise funds through the years. So I have the materials. I'd be happy to leave them, distribute them to you. And of course, the easiest way is to go to haloflight.org. The tab on the right, the navigation tab at the top right, is called Guardian Plan. And it's a secure website, and anyone can join through our website safely and securely. For multiple years, I gift it to my 5-year-old grandson because his dad's a little rabble raiser, and I want to make sure that he's okay, and my daughter. So anyone can do that, take care of their family as well as their family and friends through the Guardian Plan. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Burke?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Carrasco? No. Very good. And y'all do an amazing job. Fly over my house all the time.
Same.
Yeah. Council, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I make a motion to award or fund the request of Halo Flight for the $5,000.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The ayes have it.
Thank you,
The
Mayor.
motion stands as stated. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Council.
Thank you for your
Appreciate it.
service. Thank you. Thank you, Council. Okay, agenda item number 5, consider and act upon budget allocation and authorizing the expenditure of up to $8,200 of hotel occupancy tax, AKA hot funds, from the hotel occupancy tax reserves for permissible uses to the Tejano Roots Hall of Fame Cinco de Mayo Fiesta according to ordinance number 2058.
Mayor and Council, Mr. Ruben Lopez with Tejano Roots is here this evening. He is requesting monies for hot funds for the use of a Cinco de Mayo festival. It will take place in Alice beginning on May the 4th and ending on May the 5th. The project funding application has gone through CVB and Chamber. They have approved it. As he explains the event tonight, any questions, staff is recommending proceeding with the approval as you all see fit.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Lopez.
My name is Ruben Lopez. I'm President and CEO of the Tejano Roots Hall of Fame Museum. And next to me is my good friend, Mr. Joe Lozano, one of the founders and also part of the Tejano Roots from the beginning. Was a big part and still a big part with the organization. Before we start, explain a little bit what we'd like the organization from y'all, I'd like to give y'all this, just a little appreciation
Thank you.
from us. And do have some months coming up, Ms. Lopez, Pat, also, Ron.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. John, also I got one for you, sir. Just, we have them custom made, so as we get them, we give them out to. But first, I'd like to, again, introduce myself again, Ruben Lopez. I want to thank the city, of course, Chamber of Commerce, for all the help they've given us through all these years. Without y'all, we wouldn't be able to bring this festival to Alice. And, you know, we do our best all through the year to represent the organization. We travel and we try to hold the city of Alice on top because, you know, this museum, a lot of people work really hard to make it happen. So this year was tough. We lost, of course, two great ladies. And we're here to ask for your assistance on, of course, May the 4th and May the 5th to continue this festival that we do. And, of course, on the honor of Oscar Rosa, we have a backyard barbecue that everybody enjoys. I know you all have been part of our festival, and I think you could say it's pretty nice. You know, we for everything that's going around the world, at least for those 2 days, we can bring the whole city together and be one, and also enjoy great music and, of course, our culture and things like that. That everything that we've done through those 8 years is a reflection of how we manage ourselves and conduct ourselves in the public. But I'm going to let Joe talk a little bit, and then I'll come back. And I'd like for you to consider, again, and the help that you all have given us every year. Without this assistance, you know, the bands that we bring, they are expensive, but we don't pay what they're actually worth because they want to give back to the museum. And the support that we've had through the community, it's very warming because, you know, they tell us, you know, Ruben and all your staff, that you all work very hard what you do and don't get paid, don't get recognized. And, you know, we do it because of the love of the music and our culture, and also to see our abuelitas and abuelitos, their smile when they traveling across to 44 and coming down and just having a great time. So I'll let Joe explain a little bit more, and then I'll come back. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben.
I would like to thank our honorable mayor and our city council for being so good on promoting our Tejano music. As you know, that we have been promoting our Hall of Fame since, well, I guess you could say we started in the year 2000. And not only do we promote our Tejano Roots Hall of Fame, we promote the city of Alice. We're considered ambassadors of the city of Alice under the umbrella of Tejano Roots, Tejano music. When we go to Las Vegas on our own, we promote the city of Alice. We go to Channel 3 TV at least once a month, and we promote not only our Hall of Fame, but we promote the city of Alice, because we're very proud of the city of Alice, because the city of Alice many years ago was adopted as the cradle of Tejano music. In other words, Tejano music was born here. Mr. Marroquin many years ago started the Tejano music, and we are blessed to have that honor, and we're blessed that our governor, Mr. Perry, you know, made the city of Alice the only Tejano museum in the whole U.S. No other state can say that but the city of Alice and the state of Texas. We're here to promote our heritage, our music, our food, and we're here to get people united again. We want for people to enjoy our fiestas. They're free. That's why we don't charge anything. I hope that the city council and our Tejano Roots directors, you know, work together like we've done in the past to promote the city of Alice, because we are Alice proud people. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. And like I say, we've had so much fun through all the years. and so we want to continue to do that. Excuse me.
Thank you.
This year, it's going to be dedicated to my mother and also Ms. Rosas, which we lost this year. She was one of my first supporters that I had when I took over the organization. It's been difficult to continue to do what we've done to this award ceremony as my mother was fighting cancer. So I ask you to consider for the citizens of Alice to give them something back and to be part of this festival that's going to be honored both ladies and of course Mr. Oscar Rosa Jr. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Council, any questions? Ms. Carrasco, any questions?
Questions? They've done a wonderful job in the past, and I thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Burke?
Yes, this is not directed necessarily at them, but any of the process. I know there have been some changes in the past year or so. What documents do the organizations generally submit to the chamber when they apply for? This would apply to any organization.
Yes, sir.
not just-
Anyone going through this process is required to submit the project funding application that's in your packet. In addition, they submit a budget, and that's in your packet as well. The board will meet, they will review and determine, based on the budget, whether the tax code applies. On this budget, the bans would apply, advertising would apply, security would apply, and so would, believe it or not, the portable restrooms. I confirmed that with Mr. Navejada. They, based on the ordinance, will approve the first $1,800, which they have done, and they forward to the city manager for recommendation at that point. The city manager can approve up to $5,000 thereafter, and anything in excess of that, no more than 10, would come to the council for consideration. When the item is approved, there is a contract of sorts that is entered into between the city and the entity. It's an agreement for use of hotel occupancy tax funds. It essentially restates the ordinance. It lists out the amounts of monies that have been approved by the council, and they list out the grantors, which are the individuals that will be paid. The ordinance does state that it is preferred that the vendors themselves be paid when at all possible. They submit invoices, finance will review those, and the checks will be cut according to the budget to those recipients around the event time.
And okay, is there anything about, and I know they are a 501c3, but
Yes,
we do
sir.
require that. Yeah.
Yes, sir, they do have to be a 501c3. The chamber is actually the one who goes through that process to determine that they do meet that criteria before it comes to the council. Yes, sir.
Might add also that from the $8,200, we don't get just what's left out of that. We don't receive any cash.
Right.
Everything, like you said, everything's paid to the bands, whoever's doing the service. From $8,200, we give back to the city because of the stage, police officers. So at the end, when we're actually dealing, we're not dealing with $10,000. We're actually dealing maybe like 50-something by the time we add for the Bnet radio that we can actually use towards the music. And then actually our budget, it's more than what's there. So we also have to do our fundraisers like we do and be in order to make sure that we pay because we want to continue to keep it free for the public.
Mr. Burke, any other
No,
questions?
thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Mr. Chris?
He nailed it as far as the in-kind services. I was going to ask about that, but I know that was a benefit last year, so it's good that was brought up, so.
And for the in-kind services for the use of the stage, there is a rental application that they submit. It is signed off on. They understand the responsibilities with it, and the city takes those money towards the in-kind services. The stage itself is $800.
One thing, during our ceremonies, we drove, well, I guess we could say we had over 1,000 people from, not only from the city of Alice, but all over the U.S. So the city of Alice benefited on Fridays with all our hotels and motels were packed, our restaurants were filled up, and Sunday, after the ceremonies, most of the restaurants were full of the people that were in our induction ceremony. So I think that we're helping the city of Alice promote the city, generating money for the city of Alice, because I'm sure that all the hotels and motels benefit from it, our restaurants benefit from it. I know that Walmart did, because most of the people that I knew were there doing their shopping, because most of the hotels are in that area. So I think that this is a real good cause, not only for Tejano music, but for the city of Alice, because we promote the city of Alice, bringing in people from all over the U.S., and each inductee brings at least 8 or 9 people in their family to witness the induction ceremony. So I believe this is something good for the city of Alice, and I hope you continue helping us, and I hope that you all feel like we do, that we're here not only to promote Tejano music, but we're here to promote and bring in people to the city of Alice, because the city of Alice has to benefit one way or another with the people we bring in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano. Mr. Crisp, any other questions?
Yeah, one second. Yeah, quick question. You said Sunday, but that you're actually talking, I'm sorry, about
The award ceremony.
The award ceremony.
This is the, excuse me, this is the kickoff to get ready for the awards. Because the awards, if you've been part of it, these awards that we give out, they're very expensive. And we want to continue like they started. So what we raise here, everything that we sell, we ask for vendors, keep it low so people can enjoy, have a great time. But this is just a part of it because it's a big production and it takes money in order to continue to do that.
And the hotel stays are not only produced from the bands that come in, but also because it runs pretty late into the evenings.
Yes.
I
do my rounds. I want to make sure when I do come in front of the city council or the chamber that I've done my homework. Say, hey, they were full. This was full. They were lacking a little bit. We go around. Our board of directors stay at different hotels to make sure that their friends or anybody that knows them will stay in there and have a great time. So we just don't put one or all our board of directors in one hotel. We share the wealth.
Thank you, Ruben. Mr. Crisp, any other questions?
No, I'm good, thank
Okay. Mr. Molina?
John,
My son has a local country band, and he may play one of these nights, so I don't know if I need to just step back and let these things take care of. It's not even contracted or anything yet, but I know that he's played before, and it's probably going to be a no, but he might play.
Well, at this juncture, there isn't a direct conflict,
Okay.
so.
thank you for asking.
Just want to let somebody know.
Okay.
that's all.
Any questions about the event?
Oh, thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
an excellent service. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Molina. And I attend it every year, and it's fabulous, and y'all do bring on a huge crowd and out-of-towners, and I look forward to it every single year. I think y'all do.
We
an
welcome
amazing
you,
job.
and we personally invite every one of y'all to attend. It's going to be a big night, 2 big nights.
Very good. Council, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, make a motion to,
If I can interrupt.
Go ahead.
Just for a second, and in running through my mind, it might be best
Yeah.
if you
I'll vote.
recused yourself, Robert,
Sure.
at this time.
Yeah.
And just in case it does come up, you just need to leave the chamber.
Yeah.
That would be appropriate. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Mr. Lemon. I appreciate that. Motion stated?
Okay.
Get it?
Consider, I motion that we do a budget allocation for the Tejano Roots Foundation through Hot Funds of $8,200. Actually, it's an ordinance, so yes, dang, this one's written a little different, so it's hard to read when they write them a little different. Move to accept the ordinance number 2058, sorry, for funding of the Tejano Roots Festival through Hot Funds of $8,200.
Thank you. Can I
Second.
get a second? Thank you, Mr. Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No opposed, the ayes have it. Motion stands as stated. Thank you, Mr. Chris.
Also want to say
Thank
thank
you.
you, Pat, for everything you've done. Every time you call me back, she's great, and make sure we inform. And Ms. Lopez, thank you again. All of y'all, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez and
Thank you.
Mr. Lozano. Thank you. Thank you for
very
your
much.
service to our community.
Thank you to the police department, they do an awesome job.
Mr. Molina, you can come back now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 6, here's status report on September 2017 month-ending financial statements and summary of funds. Mr. Ramos and Ms. Vanessa.
Mr. Ramos asked me to present the September financials, so good evening, Mayor and Council. Like I said, I'll be presenting the year-end financials for 2017. Please remember that these are unaudited numbers, and we should be having the audited numbers be presented next month. I was just going to focus on totals, but please ask any questions you may have, and I'll answer them the best that I can. Let's begin with the general fund. The total revenue for the general fund was $11,342,522. The revised budget revenue for the general fund was $11,218,905. So we did end the year collecting 101.1% of the budgeted amount. So we collected a little bit more. Total expenses for the general fund totaled $12,543,243. The revised budget expenses for the general fund were $12,409,421. We did expense 101.08%, so we did go a little over budget also. I don't know if you noticed, there are little explanations on each fund at the bottom of the page. But if y'all, like I said, if y'all have any questions, please let me know. General fund had a deficit of $1,200,721. We did adopt a deficit, though, of $1,190,516. So the variance between the revised budget and the actual is $10,205.
Mayor and Council, on page 3 of 11 is where you will see each department broken out as it pertains to general fund. And at the bottom of the page, with the letters A through P, you will see explanations as to why those particular departments may have been over budget.
Council, any questions?
No.
Carrasco? Mr. Burke?
No, all right.
Mr. Chris? Mr. Molina?
On page 4, you'll find the solid waste fund. The total revenue for the solid waste fund was $2,961,307. The revenue under the revised budget was $3,081,716. We did fall short, generating revenue at 96.09% of the budgeted amount. Total expenses for the solid waste were $2,572,041. The revised budget for expenses was $2,810,253. Solid waste expenses were at 91.52% of the budgeted amount. With that, the solid waste fund had an excess of revenue of $389,267. We had budgeted an excess of $271,463. So there was a variance here of $117,804.
Council, any questions? Okay.
On page 5, you can find the utility fund. The total revenue recorded was $7,612,714. The revised budget was $8,065,864. The revenue generated was 94.38% of what was budgeted during the revised. Total expenses were $7,511,580. The revised budget was $7,393,570. The utility fund expenses were at 101.6% of the budgeted amount.
Year-end utility fund had an excess of $101,135. The city had budgeted an excess of $672,294. So there was a pretty large variance here of $571,159.
Council, any questions?
I have a question on the revenue. Do you know do we have something that shows why there was such a difference, a variance in the revenue? That was
It looks
budgeted
like the
versus-
bulk of it was on the charges for services. So that was the water and the sewer. We had budgeted a certain amount, and it looks like what was actually
Collected.
charged, this isn't collected, this is what was charged to the customers,
Oh, charged, okay.
was below that. It may have been that we were looking at it and the revenue looked like it was picking up, and then maybe it,
Okay.
I don't remember too.
Do you have revenue?
No, ma'am. A lot of times with utility fund, when they're projecting revenues forward, they're looking at
Average, kind of.
average on the things. So if we had a particularly rainy season where there was not a use for water, that could attribute to it. It could also be that people were being more conservative with the use of their water. Just because of the financial crunch, they were being more conscientious in running their taps. But it is with charges for services, so it's always an unknown variable in that aspect.
And we do try to kind of look at it and see what it is, and then, but it's the projections.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? No? Okay.
Okay, the airport fund can be found on page 6. The airport revenue received was $50,016. The revised budget revenue was $46,809. The revenue generated was 106.85% of what was budgeted during revised. Total expenses were at $78,616. The expenses for the revised budget were at $76,909. The airport expenses were at 102.22% of the revised budget. The year-end deficit is $28,600. The revised budget showed a deficit of $30,100. The difference here is $1,500.
Council, any questions?
Just for clarity, that intergovernmental is the payments that we receive from the county for splitting the costs? I guess
Yes.
it's kind of a question, right? Okay, good.
It's usually your county and then any grants you may receive.
Okay. Any other questions, council? No?
Okay, the golf course can be found on page 7. The total golf course revenue was $335,618. The revenue under the revised budget was $340,680. The revenue earned was 98.51% of the revised budget. Total expenses were $384,447. The revised budget was $373,518. The golf course expenses were at 102.93% of the revised budget. The year-end deficit was $48,829. The budgeted deficit was $32,838. So this variance is $15,991.
Council, any questions?
And this one did have a transfer from the general fund throughout the year.
And that total was 50,000, correct?
Yes, so if the city hadn't transferred any money, the golf course would have actually had a deficit of $98,000.
Okay. Council, any questions? No?
The natatorium can be found on page 8. The total revenue for the natatorium was $164,530. We did budget $179,475. The revenue generated was at 91.67% of what was budgeted during revised. And this also wasn't a full season. I believe it was opened the end of June. Total expenses were at $348,076. The revised budget was $346,118. So we did expense 100.57% of the revised budget. The year-end deficit was $183,546. The revised budget deficit was $166,643. So this variance was $16,903.
And the reason we're showing this huge deficit is because we've carried over.
On the fund
Right.
balance?
I'm sorry. On the negative balance, it's just that we carried that over versus transferring, just like on the golf course, right?
Those are the fund balances, yes.
Just so people understand.
Yes, it carries over.
that we carried it over. Okay.
The airport, the golf course, and the multi-use complex, in addition to the utility fund, are all enterprise funds, so that's standard reporting that we use.
But this one did not show one. Correct.
I'm sorry?
It did not show one for the 2017 interfund transfer. There's nothing.
No, we did not transfer
We did not
last year
transfer.
at all to the
Mhm,
Natalie.
that's correct.
Okay. Council, any questions? No?
The hotel occupancy tax fund is on page 9. The total revenue earned was $252,203. The revised budget revenue that was adopted was $192,600. So we did earn 130.95% of the revised budget. The total expenses were $262,188. The revised expenses were budgeted at $262,721. So we expensed 99.8% of the revised budget. We ended the year with a deficit of $9,985. We had budgeted a deficit of $70,121. So the variance for the hotel motel fund was $60,136.
Council, any questions?
No.
The golf course improvement fund, the total revenue was $32,023. The revised budget revenue was $32,220. The city earned 99.39% of the revised budget. Total expenses were $7,890. This was not budgeted, that's why you see the huge percentage difference. The total revenue over expenses were at $24,133. The revised budget showed an excess of $32,220. This variance is $8,087.
Council, any questions? Can you tell us what that unbudgeted expense was?
I believe they bought some a sprinkler and sprinkler heads for the golf course.
And the revenue comes from?
That is when somebody goes to play golf, a portion of that fee actually automatically goes towards the golf course improvement fund.
Very good, thank you.
Mhm. Okay, the debt service fund, the total revenue collected was $2,210,999. The revised budget was at $2,187,162. The total expenses were $1,987,757. The year-end excess was $223,242. And I just wanted to remind everyone, these are unaudited, but we should have the final numbers next month.
Council, any questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thanks
Thank
so
you, ma'am.
much. Agenda item. Yes, agenda item number 7. Here's status report on January 2018 month-ending financial statements and summary of funds by Mr. Roland Ramos, Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A couple of weeks ago, I went over the financials for December 31st, 2017. And now, Vanessa just reported the September ones, which were the year ending, but those, of course, are the unaudited. So now I'll be going over the January 31st, 2018 year-end financials, or monthly financials. That'll be for October, November, December, and January. The first item up there is the Exhibit A, and in your handout is the general fund revenues. The first one on there is property tax. Property tax year-to-date, we have budgeted $908,164, and the actual collections is $1,376,507. So that's actually 51% over budget. Through the end of January, we should be at 33%. So we're over budget on that line item. And again, this is actual collections. If you look through the Jim Wells County Appraisal District, which is, I think, Exhibit B on your handout, we've actually collected through the end of January what Jim Wells has collected. We have not recorded this in our books, but they've collected almost 72% for an ending balance. I'm sorry, $3,110,299 is what they've collected year to date. So that'll be reflected in the next financial statements in February. The next one is sales tax. We budgeted $1,760,000 and we've collected year to date $990,007. This is the one, of course, that always looks bad. We budgeted $440,000 per month. So if you take the $440,000 for October, November, December, January, it adds up to the $1,760,000. But the actual collections is only October and November. So, as I mentioned last time, if you really want to compare apples to apples, this is, again, not recorded in our books because we don't have December in these financials. That'll be in the February financials. But October, November, and December, we budgeted $1,320,000 and we've collected $1,509,994. So that's almost a $190,000 increase.
And just to be clear, that delay is because that's the time it takes for the state to give us our money.
Right.
Okay, the money that they've collected for it to actually make it to
Exactly.
us, that's the delay.
And it's about a 2-month delay, so by the time we get to record it in our books. We've already received it, but that it won't be reflected in the January one. It'll be reflected in February. Okay. That was the sales tax okay, I'm sorry, we budgeted that's actually about $248,567. That's the increase from the sales tax on that one. Our fiscal year 2018, we had $1,509,994, and this is comparing 18 to 17. 2017 was actually 1.2 million, so that's almost a $250,000 increase. So sales tax is tapering off, but at a much higher, not much higher, but a better rate than it was last year.
So those are the two biggest ones, property and sales tax. Then, of course, you have your occupational and mixed beverage tax, which is your alcohol tax. That one is at 27% right now. We budgeted 13,333. We've collected 10,788. We're a little bit under budget on that one, about 27%. Franchise licenses and permits, we budgeted $355,033. We've collected $178,839. That one's about 17%, so we're under budget on that one. That, of course, is your building permits, health permits, certificates of occupancies, and so forth. Your intergovernmental, we budgeted $29,433. This is through January again. And our year-to-date is $26,667. We're about 30% on that one, so it's a little bit under. And that's for the Jim Wells County Library. Charges for services, we budgeted $14,292, and year-to-date is $7,757. We're about 18% on that one. Fines and forfeitures through January is $113,127, and year-to-date is $96,504, so we're at 28% on that one. But I will tell you, because this is the fines and the warrants and so forth, municipal court has been doing very well as far as collections. It's not reflected in this January, but in the next few months, you're going to see the warrant roundup was very successful. So I think you'll see an increase in the next one. Miscellaneous revenue, which is our rental of the Armory and the Boys and Girls Club, we budgeted $36,267, and year-to-date was $33,798, which is about 31%. That's pretty close to the 33. And our interfund transfer, which is your utility transfers and your solid waste transfers, that one's, of course, very much in line. $654,000 budgeted, and year-to-date is $653,333. So that's our general fund revenues. I don't know if you have any questions on the revenues.
Council, any questions?
The franchises, licenses, and permits, is that any one of the ones that we receive quarterly?
Yes.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
franchise, some of them do come in quarterly, like your cable and your telephone.
So that would,
So-
once we get one of those payments, it'll make up some of that gap.
Yes, because I think the quarter ends December 31st, so some of them are reconciling, and then by the time they mail the check in, you don't get it till sometimes February.
Okay, council, any other questions? No questions? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ramos.
You were going to go over the expenditures, correct?
General fund
Okay.
expenditures.
Okay.
General fund expenditures, really just going to point out a few here that are over budget. Your general service, of course, we talked about it the last time, which is your TML payment. That one's over. Finance administration is a little bit over, and that's due to the Acela payment, which is our operating software that we use here at the city. That one, it's an $18,000 payment a year, so it's a little bit over. It's causing it to be a little bit over. Fire and police are still under budget. They're doing a good job of keeping under budget. Municipal court's under budget. Let me see. Street maintenance is under budget on the expenditure side, as also garage engineering and parks and playground. Those are the main ones there. But basically, our general fund expenditures were $3,613,214 through the end of January, which is about 31%. We were under our 33 projected for the end of January. And this is a summary of all of them, all the funds. General fund ended up with a deficit of $239,013, and of course that's lacking the sales tax. Solid waste was at a deficit of $76,472, They did have the TML payment, and they also had a lease payment that came into play here for $92,000. During this time, solid waste and the water, as Dan mentioned, you're usually not getting a high water consumption at this time, so the revenues really are not on target, and the expenses are kind of high. So we expect that to offset. The utilities was surprising at $420,308, but again, like I said, the revenues aren't there, and we've had some high expenses in the utilities. Some of them were, like we mentioned last time, was the Acela software and the TML. But then also we have maintenance and construction that has been working really hard. They've had quite a bit of improvements out there for the sewer lines and water lines. They also had a TCQ permit of $32,000 that's included in here. And then when we were doing our budget, I think we reported about 450 meters, that stop meters. Well, I'm proud to report that all those meters have been installed. They're all in the ground. So those expenses are in here. That's about another 86,000. So I'm expecting the revenues to kick in maybe in April. So you'll start seeing those revenues realized. At this point, it's just basically the expenses, but not the revenues. But those guys have been working really hard. Your airport had a profit of $3,857. Of course, that's with the transfer, interfund transfer of $5,347. The golf course had a deficit of $6,507. That's including a transfer of $13,396 through January. That's your monthly transfer, totaling $13,396 cumulative. Your hotel occupancy tax had a negative balance of $24,984. And that, of course, we have a healthy fund balance there. And that's probably something that we're going to have to discuss later on how we want to move forward with that. That needs to be, I guess, we need to figure out how we're gonna expense that. Initially, it was the intent was for it to be an amphitheater and a convention center, and but the state does look at that carefully on what you spend it on. So we really need to sit down, I guess, and figure out as a group, where you guys and what direction you want to head for that. But that's not a bad problem. 2.9 is not a bad problem. The multi-use complex, we have 45,897 and the negative, and that's counting a cumulative transfer of 33,379. If there are any questions, I'll be happy.
Council, any questions?
I have a couple of questions, if I may, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
In reference to the page 3 of 11,
I'm sorry, page 3 of
11 in our book. That's in the general fund, the statement of revenue and expenditures for the 4 months ending in January 31st. Wanted to ask, let me see. Thank you. On the command center, we said we expensed 53.02% of their budget, and this was due to a once-a-year payment that was made for the Lucas program. And I don't know if, Diana, you could go in a little bit more detail as to what that is for our citizens.
The City of Alice and Jim Wells County partner in using Lucas. And Lucas is essentially an alert system. It's sometimes referred to as reverse 911. Staff has been gathering information that we have on our website, but we'll be posting on Channel 5 to inform residents on how they can partner with it. If you have a landline that is listed, it is automatically brought over into the Lucas system. But if you have a cell phone or an alternate number, there is a registration process that needs to be had. We use this from everything from alerting for storms to any type of emergency. It's at our disposal in conjunction with the county to alert residents to any need that is immediate and needs to go out.
Diana, we also have this on our website where if there's someone that did want to register for the program, if they're not already on it,
Yes,
our
ma'am.
citizens are allowed to.
Yes, ma'am. There is a link that they can go to for the registration process. It is also on the Jim Wells County government page as well. I believe we've shared the link in the past through social media, but we will, if council so wishes, get more education out to the public.
And on the Excella software, that was also something, and that's for the software for accounting and.
Yes, ma'am. Acela is actually the software company who provides all of the processes that we use for the city. So you're looking at finance, payroll, human resources, inspections, codes, utility billing, inventory, budgeting. It's the catch-all for every. It's one of the bigger expenses we make, but it covers and encompasses the majority of the processes in our city.
On our interfund transfers, we had a transfer and we expensed 49.33% of our budget. And this says that it's due to the transfer of benefits in our trust fund to cover vacancies. So I know I asked a little bit about this, but I would like the citizens to understand that a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. Because we are self-funded, when we begin the process of determining what we are going to expense per employee per month, we are looking at the totality of what we expect claims to be for the year and dividing that up amongst the number of budgeted positions. The benefit is attached to each employee, and if they are running through payroll, that benefit is being expensed appropriately to the departments and credited towards the trust fund. When there are vacancies, we have to account for those vacancies because those positions are taken into the calculation. Easy way to explain it is if, for example, we have $12 million, and that's just a number that we're going to do for the year. We divide that by 12, determine what hits payroll, reconcile that against the vacancies, and then transfer appropriately amongst the departments. That number is going to vary from payroll to payroll depending on the vacancies that are there. We had the 6 hires that have been vacant since October, and that's attributing to a large portion of it. Did I explain okay, or do we need further? Okay.
On the city council, are we going to need to perhaps look at that later and kind of adjust if we didn't, due to our packets and anything that we
It's not uncommon for departments at the beginning of a budget year to expense and buy for the whole year. In the city council department, one of the things that are bought are supplies for plaques, proclamations, paper, business cards, things of that matter. We watch every budget very carefully. At this point, there is no need or concern that we will go over budgets. In totality, to reiterate what Mr. Ramos mentioned, the majority of our departments are way within target range. Department heads are being very vigilant in watching their budgets and expenditures. The ongoing process of watching every purchase order as it is encumbered and ensuring that there are funds in that line item, and if not, covering from an appropriate line item is part of that process. As the year progresses, and with each passing quarter, since a lot of our revenues do come in quarterly, the council will have a better understanding of picture of where we are. At this point, it looks stable.
On the airport fund, I'm sorry, Mr. Ramos, we're showing expenses expenditures of $8,968, is that due to the vacancy that we have? That's why we didn't expense as much, or how is that?
That definitely is helping, that we don't
Okay.
have that expense.
Okay.
Yeah, that, the actual 8,000, let me see what it's in. No, I don't have a detail on that one, I'm sorry. I
That's
thought I
okay.
had.
That's okay. I kind of figured that's probably
Yeah, that-
what,
that's-
why we were looking at that.
It's
Is
probably
that-
the insurance, because we would have paid the insurance for the airport at the beginning of the year, and
Okay.
probably electricity.
Oh, okay.
But you're right, there's no salary there
Yeah.
any longer.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
The last thing I wanted to report is that if you haven't had a chance to go to the golf course, there's been quite a bit of improvements there. It's looking really nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Mr. Chris? Ms. Rowland? Okay, thank you, Mr. Rowland, very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Roland.
Alrighty. Agenda item number 8. Consider and act upon the final plat being 15.849 acre tract of land lying in the Jose Maria Garcia Survey, Abstract 186, Jim Wells County, Texas, some being a portion of Farm Blocks 80 and 81 of the Alice Farm Block subdivision, as described and recorded in Volume 1, page 62 of the map records of Jim Wells County, Texas, same being all of Tract 1, Tract 2, Tract 3, as described and recorded in Volume 767, page 718. Official records of Jim Wells County, Texas, a portion of 5.246 acres of land, as described and recorded in Volume 120, page 400 of the deed records of Jim Wells County, Texas, and portion of 3.6 acre tract of land, as described and recorded in Volume 179, page 420 of the deed records of Jim Wells County, Texas, also known as Lot 2, CP&L subdivision, recorded in Volume 10, page 31, deed records of Jim Wells County, Texas.
Mayor and Council, this evening Joshua Flores, Community Development Director, will be walking us through this item. This is the AEP Alice Distribution Center property and the approval of the plat.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the Alice Distribution Center that's located there on Gulf. The company is expanding its Alice location to include a new building site over 36,000 square feet, also a detention pond, a renovated fleet garage, and overall expansion. The idea being for this to become a staging center as well in the future as they work on their fleet. The city has been working with AEP through this process as they renovate and improve on this property. And last Tuesday, the Planning and Zoning Commission met and reviewed and approved the plat. In your packet, you'll have the map details, and you also have the general map that'll show more or less the proposed site for the 36,000 square foot building, as well as the renovated fleet garage that they're going to be putting in next as well on those lots. And then this plat was reviewed by the city engineer and signed as well.
Council, any questions? Ms. Vanasco?
Yes, I have a question. We're being asked to approve the plat, but is this something we have to, is this already being worked on? Has this development already started?
Yes, the construction's begun on this site.
Construction. So you're asking us, is it to ratify it, or was it because there was no quorum, or that this wasn't brought to council?
Do you want me to
Sure,
answer that for
please.
you, Josh?
Okay.
Basically, in this process is that to begin construction, the city engineer felt it was appropriate to allow AEP to begin construction prior to plating. It is something that they can do legally, and that there were several requirements that AEP had to meet. City staff, we met with them. We did. We worked with
Several
AEP
times.
through this, and through those meetings, we determined that, speaking to the building official and the city engineer, they were comfortable with this process beginning for them to turn dirt and to work on the site, and then the plat application process go through.
So is it is this normal? This isn't the normal process? Was it, because we didn't have a quorum is what I kind of want to know is,
The short answer is no.
no? Okay.
That it is not necessarily a normal process, but it's not disallowed by statute. It was not done in this fashion because you did not have a quorum. It was done in this fashion because AEP needed to begin moving dirt on the project for funding out of Ohio. And that because of that, we needed to go ahead and move forward with it. Whether we would have had a quorum or not, this probably would have been the process that was followed through. Again, being something that we worked with them on, that was one of their concerns, is they had a timeline. So looking at what we had in the plans, we were comfortable moving forward.
Okay. And can you, what is the retention pond?
That's part of their drainage plan. So that retention pond is included in here. That is part of the drainage that engineering staff has reviewed and approved as well.
Because I know this area was one of the areas too that we were having issues with drainage and stuff.
Yes, and that was addressed as well, and
That
what they'll
was-
be working on will be a big improvement to that area.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Mr. Burke, any questions?
No.
Mr. Pettis?
I'm just happy that it's moving. It was a 8-acre tract that was just sitting there empty.
Yeah,
So
it's a big expansion.
get some development on the tax rolls. So
Mr. Molina?
I have no question.
All right, council, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, make a motion to accept the plat as presented.
I'll entertain.
Second.
it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. No opposed, motion stands as stated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Agenda item number 9. Conduct a public hearing and consider and act upon an ordinance to rezone 9.2904 acres of land filed in volume 634, page 139, map records of Jim Wells County, Texas, and being part of blocks 93C, 93B, and 93A, Alice Town Site addition from a R1 residential district to an IC industrial commercial district.
Mayor and council, this is a two-part item. The first is to conduct a public hearing.
Okay.
The second will be Mr. Flores giving information on the request to rezone it.
So at this time, we'll open a public hearing. The time is 7:52. Anybody wishes to come up and speak on this agenda item, feel free to do so at this time. Okay. If nobody wishes to speak on this agenda item, this public hearing is now closed. Thank you.
Mayor and council, on this item, Mr. Tim Marsh was at the planning and zoning meeting last Tuesday, and he spoke to the board concerning that this was something that they looked upon when they're considering expansions and growing of that business there. This is the Adcock Pipe and Supply between Beam Station and Apple. And as you may know, that has been there for quite some time. The property has been owned by them for very many years. So in that process, coming to thinking about expansion, they realized, okay, this is, on the zoning map, it's white, which is an R1. Everything in white on our zoning map is residential. So to meet their needs, they submitted the request, the application. Mr. Roy Adcock filled out that application to zone to an IC industrial. An IC industrial is common. We do have that in the city of Alice. There's IC and then there's D. In the C classification, it's industrial commercial. So again, that is common. Zoning to the north of this property is business and to the south is residential. The property, like I said, has been used by Adcock Pipe and Supply. The Planning and Zoning Commission did review the application and also voted unanimously to rezone the request, to approve the rezone request. In your packets, you have the notice of the public hearing, an aerial map to kind of show more or less a better area of where this is. If you have any questions.
Council, any questions?
I do, Mayor. Joshua, on the, on this map that was presented to us in our packet, what is this red line on the outskirts? There's the one for where ACOT rezoned from residential to industrial, but what's the outside red showing? What does that mean?
Oh, that's the area, when the engineering department submits to us the 200 square feet around there, the 200 feet out of the bounds, that's what that extra area is. So the homes within that boundary, we're sending a letter of public notice, that's what that is.
Okay. And you said the reason they're doing this is because they're expanding?
They're thinking about it. They
They're
talked to
thinking
us.
about it?
Mr. Marsh spoke to that level last Tuesday about that they were looking towards development and expansion of that property.
Any other questions? Council, Mr. Burke?
No. Josh, I know that y'all do a public hearing at the planning and zoning also.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm not mistaken, there were residents that actually showed up and asked questions or at that time, correct?
Yes, we did have a couple that would stop into City Hall and ask just where it was, because in the letter, it just has the legal description, so they wanted to know, once they knew where it was, they were okay. There were 2 people that showed up for the planning and zoning meeting, aside from Mr. Marsh, but again, once understanding where this area was, they had no comments for or against.
I just asked that because I wanted to express that there are citizens out there that
Yeah,
have
they do
already
read.
been through this process and did come in and ask the questions, that there are concerned citizens that have addressed this as well.
And we'll typically receive calls, inquiries, asking, is again the legal description, so they'll.
And we do have
after that.
It's been zoned residential for how many years?
Many, I mean, we couldn't, when I asked the Planning and Zoning Commission, it's possible decades.
Has they been there 20,
27, yes.
27, in the
Yeah.
same area doing the same thing?
Yeah.
So it hasn't changed other than us getting it zoned
Right,
correctly?
exactly. To them, for the owners, it's kind of a housekeeping measure.
Right.
Get it zoned properly and then take business from there.
So business will not change in this area?
No, not at all.
Very good. Mr. Molina, any
No,
questions?
no questions.
And it was in the paper how long? Is it cover legal requirements?
It was ran twice, correct? Mr. Flores, Ms. Diana, it was ran twice. Once for planning and zoning for public hearing, and then once for,
All right, so it ran in the paper, looks like the week of February 11th. The notice of public hearing for the planning and zoning for the Alice City Council.
Oh.
And then the letter was mailed out to the residents on February 2nd.
Second.
Okay. Very good. Council, if there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
can you read this whole thing?
Would somebody else like to make a motion
Yeah.
other than Mr. Crisp?
Yes, Mayor, I'll move for adoption, approval of the request to rezone the 9.2904 acres of landfill in volume 634, page 139.
Second.
Can I get a second? Second? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? No opposed, the ayes have it. Motion stands as stated. Thank you, Mr. Flores. Agenda item number 10, consider and act upon awarding contract for 2018 chip seal project and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents related thereto.
Mayor and Council, Mr. Flores from Community Development and Mr. Salisbury from Engineering will be presenting this item to you all tonight. Back October 10th, 2017, there was a presentation given to the council regarding the chip seal project. Permission was given for us to begin solicitation of sealed bids for the construction of that project. We have received those back, and they will be presenting those bids and answer any questions from the council regarding the streets in question.
Yes, Mayor and Council, on October the 10th, Mr. Mora, our city engineer, submitted to the council a list of streets that would be worked on. He also talked about the types of improvements to city streets and the timeline that had been followed up until that point. So for the Seal Coat project, engineering staff did a drive around throughout the majority of the city of Alice, if not almost all of it, correct? And during that process, identified certain streets based on a scale. But according to that scale, certain number of streets would fit for the seal coat. Now, those are outlined here in red on your map. There's roughly going to be 48 streets. Now, what the seal coat process will do is protect what's there from weathering. It'll also help extend the life of the street and the current condition that it's in, and also, of course, improving the driving on those roads. It was focused on streets with no maintenance in the last 10 years. And as I mentioned, staff did inspect these streets and identify them themselves. That would be the engineering technicians on staff. This was based on, in 2012, the city of hiring an engineer consultant and Rudy Mora meeting with that consultant and discussing the plan for the years thereafterwards. This is part of the capital improvement plan for the engineering department and available funds. The map that was presented to council back in October was showing current improvements that were made to city streets from 2007 to 2013. In receiving these bids, a pre-bid meeting was held on January 23rd here in the City Council chambers. On Tuesday, January the 30th, they were reviewed and by Mr. Mora, Mr. Salisbury, and myself. After opening the bids and calculations, staff identified the lowest bid, including the addition projects. That would be to Flow Construction Company. Flow has done the seal coat project for the City of Alice in 2013, and if I'm not mistaken, also in 2012. And in your packets, you have the bid tabs for those. Showing the 5 companies who submitted bid to the cities, and including the additive alternative, Flow Construction came in at the least. The funding for this project will be done through bonds as well as the Street Improvement Fund. If you have any questions, we'll be.
Council, any questions?
Yes.
Ms. Bells?
Joshua, on this right here, on the map that you provided for us, it has alternative add street list. In this proposal, that's included?
Yes, ma'am.
For the
It is.
chip and seal?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Every contractor made a base bid and then also bid for the additive alternative, which will include these streets here, the extras. So that'd be Easterling, 3rd, Houston, and Seabreeze.
Okay. And you said the project will be funded through various bonds and budgeted for approximately 500,000?
Yes, the information I received was clearing out old bonds, 109,000, and the street improvement fund of 474,000.
Okay. So Diana, these are funds that,
These are funds that, as we were reviewing, we were able to determine that there was a fund that had monies allocated for streets. This is what we discussed on October the 10th. The project is anticipated to seal approximately 19 miles worth of streets is what we're looking at. There was lots of discussion that evening of why chip seal and not reclamation or other types of repairs. At this time, based with the monies that are available, and in looking and extending the life of the streets, engineering felt that this project was the best way to move forward. There was extensive looking at all areas of the city to determine which streets could most benefit from this type of project. This is what we're looking at.
Yeah,
You
including
have,
the alternative, the added streets, where you're looking at over 210,000 square yards of improvement.
okay.
And this project is far larger than the 2012. This would be including the additive 48 streets. So looking at the bid for Flow Construction, that obviously is under budget, which gives some flexibility for future improvements.
Sure.
Mr. Moana had talked about those future improvements and what the council could determine that being as well. Either continue with seal coats on other projects or start allocating funds for larger improvements.
The streets on the proposed list, as we look at areas where we're having to concentrate on infrastructure underneath, we have ensured that those areas are not included on this list.
And there's also an
Correct.
improvement with CenterPoint Energy that we'll be
Correct.
working with them to ensure that there's no disruption here.
Council, any other questions?
When, you said that this is the same company that did the bid and work in 2012?
2012 and 2013?
13, yes.
Yes, sir. This would be the third
I know
time.
this is kind of an off question because I didn't realize it was the same company. Did they stay on budget? I mean, were there?
Yes,
did
they were
finance
within
the project?
budget, and speaking with staff, they were actually very good with using their equipment, their efficiency. They came in under the time frame. And council had no concerns with using them again. I'm sorry, not council, staff had no concerns with using them again.
Yeah, staff was very pleased with the work that they did in the last project.
What is the estimated timeframe of the duration of the project?
That can vary, that can be up to 4 weeks, Joe.
Yeah, it depends on how much equipment they have available and
Weather
their scheduling.
and other factors.
And the life on the chip seal is approximately 7 years?
I believe, is that
7
correct?
years, yeah, this is why this is
Approximately.
kind of a constant maintenance program.
Right.
That's why we'll continue to see it. Just keep renewing our seal coat.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I make a motion to allow the city manager to execute all documents related to the 2018 chip seal project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion stands as stated. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Agenda item number 11. The city council may enter into closed or executive session for the following matters. A, Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney, private consultation with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Texas Government Code 551, and specifically to receive an update and to secure legal advice and counsel from the attorney related to a pending legal matter. 1, Andy Joslin versus City of Alice, Texas. 2, CHW Lattice Creek. And 3, Marshall Company LTD. And B, Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel-related matters, and Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, to review, deliberate, and discuss the position of interim city manager regarding evaluation, employment, assignment, reassignment, appointment, new appointment, and duties of the interim city manager. C, Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel-related matters, city manager position, review, deliberate, and discuss city manager applications, alternatives, processes, and actions regarding interviewing, selection, employment, assignment, and establishing salary range. D, Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney to receive confidential legal advice and counsel from the attorney related to 1, Alice City Charter Section 32, investigations by counsel, and 2, Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel-related matters, Alice Police Chief. So at this time, the time is 8:07. If we choose to go into closed session, we will. We choose to handle an open.
I think closed session, we have to.
Well, if the person being discussed wants it in open, then they can, correct?
We have more than that. Executive session.
I do I have a question on A1, but I don't know if I can just ask you in private before, I don't know.
A1? Okay.
This was to be an update, correct, or for the executive?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am, the attorneys are here.
as far as A1 goes, those are going to be attorney-client privilege matters, going to be discussing the status of the cases and whatnot, so probably best for any questions to be asked in executive session.
In executive, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
12B could be open if she wishes.
Yes, but I don't think she has an objection to going to executive session.
Okay. And then the other is 12D if he wishes.
And nobody has raised an objection to our retiring to executive session.
Yeah.
Council at this time could and vote to refuse to go to executive session, but I don't think they are.
No, I think we need to go to executive session
Okay.
for the other issues.
The time is 8:09, and we will now go into closed session.
Do you want,